The Effects of At-Home Reading on Children's Literacy Development by Meredith Bodkin, Bowling Green State University, Review of Literature Presentation. Introduction. Since as early as 1985 and even before, research has been conducted to determine the effects of reading at home with a family member. Studies focused primarily on students in the early childhood and elementary grades to determine if there was a positive correlation between at-home literacy practices and students' literacy skills. Research has been focused on three important factors to study reading growth: shared reading, reading motivation, and parent training. This research is important because literacy is a major concern and focus in all elementary schools. Especially recently, there has been such a push for growth in literacy from the government. Theoretical orientation. Theoretical orientation continued. Not only has it been proven in theory that reading at home helps to increase reading skills and oral and written vocabulary skills, but McGee and Rogels in 2003 also explained that read-alouds and engaging discussion are effective ways to help increase reading motivation. While read-alouds and discussions are helping with vocabulary, they're also increasing reading motivation. During a read-aloud with a parent, children are part of the discussion. They're an active part of their learning. When children are a part of something, they are naturally more interested in it. When students are involved in the reading process, they are therefore more motivated to read, and they begin to enjoy reading. Historical perspectives. The historical perspectives set the foundation for the trends that we continue to see today in our contemporary studies. The historical studies show the same information that's concluded today, that there are three important factors to reading at home: shared reading, historical perspectives continued. Mowerk set the foundation for research in 1985 about the effects of picture book reading by mothers and young children. Mowerk delves into detail about the three ways picture book reading helps children. He studies the support that comes from the pictures, the emotional attachment between the mother and the child, and the concepts of print. Mowerk explains that storybook picture reading is the first step in a child's literacy development. Parents read to their child at home, and they begin by looking at the pictures with their child, and then eventually move on to reading the words when the child can start to understand the text. His studies concluded that the repeated text and matching pictures helped to support a child's understanding of patterns in a text and their memory. They were able to retain more in their memory about text and books that they read with their mother or father. Another historical study is Finton and Gretel in 1996. They demonstrated the importance of at-home literacy with students even as young as 9 months old. Mothers in the experimental group were provided with storybooks and picture books to read every day to their child. One of the most important parts of an at-home literacy intervention is the connection that a mother-father makes with their child. Family connection is important, especially to young children. Finton and Gretel were able to prove that there are positive emotional effects for time spent during shared reading. The frequency of the reading time together also increased during the study for the mothers and children in the experimental group. Cronin, Whalen, and Cruz conducted a study in 1994 that demonstrated two important points. Training is vital, and early immersion is vital. First, the parents need training. The parents in this study were provided with training based on three groups. One group received 18 visits for training. One group received 3 visits for training. The 18 group visits was the high group, and the group that had 3 visits was the low group, and there was also one control group that received no visits. The study concluded that mothers in the high and low group continued to implement intervention strategies and then increased their reading behaviors with their child. Shared reading is the foundation for reading at home between parents and children. Shared reading is dialogic reading in which parents are asking their child questions and engaging them in meaningful conversations related to the text. Sim, Berthelsen, Walk, Nicholson, and Fielding-Bartleson conducted a study in 2004 that proved the positive effects of dialogic reading and the effects it had on a child's reading with print references. Sonnenschein and Munsterman in 2012 also added on to the studies of importance of shared reading. They concluded that the frequency of text being read to a child at home proved to have the highest correlation to a child's emergent skills. Shared reading has also been proven to be beneficial when implementing it even before schooling begins in kindergarten. Deckner, Adamson, and Bakeman conducted a study in 2006 with participants that were only 18 months old. The results showed that each child was considered standard when compared to their peers. None of the participants fell in the below average line. All of the mothers and children participated in shared reading, and all of them were considered on age level. Levi, Gong, Hassels, Evans, and Radham also added evidence that shared reading can be beneficial when used as an early intervention. Their study showed that at-home literacy practices and the amount of time read was proven to increase a child's print concepts. They also noted that literacy does not have to be strictly reading and writing. Children can also benefit the same from using interactive games and activities. One of the most beneficial aspects of shared reading is the emotional connection between a parent and child. Baker, Mackler, Sonnenschein, and Serpel conducted a study and showed that positive interactions were exchanged mostly when a parent was engaging the child in discussion rather than when a parent was trying to force the child to decode a word. Therefore, their study concluded that it is more meaningful to engage your child in a discussion and asking them questions about the text rather than having them focus on trying to figure out each word to read. Shared reading conclusion. Overall, the greatest association with shared reading is a child's vocabulary, both expressive and receptive. During a shared reading, children are able to listen to an adult reading them words, and then will start to use those words in their own vocabulary. Children also benefit more from open-ended text discussions rather than a parent trying to get them to decode a word. Reading motivation is one benefit of shared reading at home. While some studies may have proven that there was little effect on letter knowledge, most of them showed there was great effect on reading motivation. For example, Baker, Mackler, Sonnenschein, and Serpel concluded that positive reading discussions increased reading motivation. Also, Villager, Nigley, Wandler, and Kutzelman studied 4th grade students in 3 different groups. They noticed that the group that received intervention at school and home and just home increased in reading enjoyment, while their peers that received no intervention showed a decline in their reading intervention. From all of my research on the studies that I have presented, one aspect that proved to be important is parent training. Parent training helps to prove that the data is a little bit more conclusive because it ensures that parents are implementing the same interventions at home. Parent training does not have to be provided beforehand. It can also be provided during the intervention period as well. Sim, Berthelsen, Walker, Nicholson, and Fielding-Barnsley proved that provided parent training by using field notes and observations throughout the study. Graduate students would go out into the field and provide parents with the training for their next intervention lesson with their child. The parents also took videos of themselves and were able to receive feedback to ensure that they were helping their child in the correct way for the study. An overall conclusion on my review and literature is that reading at home increases a child's language skills, print concepts, and their motivation. When parents read to their child at home, they're exposing them to written and oral vocabulary. They're also building an emotional connection with their child through meaningful discussions. Overall, parents are building the foundation for reading motivation in the future and showing their child that reading is fun and important.